Namaste. Welcome to this week's edition of Dawn's Dharma Talks, The Power of Emotions, Part 2. In this talk today, the emotions that I've experienced with the lessons that I've been taught and heard over the years will get front and center. Before we start, I'd like to ring the singing bowl and just invite everyone watching to take a moment to come to center and to open your heart to whatever may arise physically, emotionally in today's talk. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth, sigh it out. Again, namaste. I'm Dawn Haywood. I am an intuitive yoga teacher who invites and empowers women over 40 to use yoga techniques to go from frazzled to calm. And sound is one way that you can incorporate yoga into your daily routine. Sound also has an incredible healing power to it. And I brought the bowl today as a way to give all of us an opportunity to feel the power of sound as we talk about emotions. So I'd like to say hello to Rachel. Welcome, Rachel. If you are catching me live, go ahead and hashtag live. If you are catching this on the replay, whether here on Facebook or on YouTube, I invite you to drop a hashtag replay along with any questions you might have about the emotions in terms of ways that you are healing your emotions, the way you address your emotions. Maybe you don't address your emotions, that's okay too. And I'll go ahead and get started. So I promised I would share a little bit about my relationship to emotions. And I must preface by saying my journey is nowhere near complete. Like anything in establishing a yogic lifestyle and incorporating yogic principles like very mindful, specific movement, sound healing, meditation, breathing. It takes time. There's no quick fix. And what I have actually found is that there are some yoga movement practices that create discomfort in my body. I have a long history of not healthily, I know that's not a word, not expressing my emotions well. I have, since I was a small child, been accused of being too emotional. Oh, go away. You're just fussing. Be a grown up. That perception that we as children need to be silent, not heard. And as a result, I really never learned how to properly channel grief, sadness, love, all the emotions, really. But those are the big three, because when I was younger, and on one of the main times that I had an incredible emotional experience was when my grandmother passed away. I was 18. And there was a very much a culture in my family where you were not allowed to share, or I was not allowed to share with my friends or with my support group what was happening. And it was very difficult for me. And I found myself beginning to create a wall. And yes, I hung around with my friends. And I think if you've known me a long time, especially since we were young, maybe in high school, middle school, you know that I was always one to speak my mind and cry on a dime and, be very dramatic. Again, a byproduct of the situation that I had with respect to the messaging I was receiving and my interpretation of that messaging. Not good, not bad, it was. Everyone does the best they can when you're raising children and working and juggling this thing called life. So there's no blame here. This is my perception, my opinion. And it was so hard for me when my grandmother was really getting sick. And she and I were very close. And I think a lot of that was because I was allowed to just be a kid. There was no expectation that I have the perfect grades or that I was doing all the right things. I recall she just encouraged me to do the things I loved. She taught me to the domestics, the needlepoint, and some of the other things too. And I think some of you who've known me for a long time, I remember seeing me at various sporting events, especially in middle school, with the needlepoint or whatever whatever craft I was working on at the time. It was nice to have something to keep my hands busy. Yeah, that's why I talk with my hands. Regardless, when my grandmother passed away, I was devastated. And I was crushed. And I get that everyone was crushed. Most specifically, the parent that lost my grandmother. And yet, I felt so alone. It was so hard when they closed that coffin, the lid to the coffin. We have open caskets in our faith in the funerals. I was singing in the choir. I was in the choir loft, and the lid shut, and I bawled. I bawled and bawled and bawled. I mean, ugly cry. And I don't even remember if anyone came over to give me a hug. I just felt so alone. And beginning in that moment, and through a series of subsequent events, the wall continued to go up and up and up and up. And it wasn't until my adult years, in fact, it probably wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago, that I realized that wall needed to start coming down. I have a very difficult time trusting people, creating close relationships. Though it might not seem like it because I share a lot. But yet at the same time, I don't feel that strong connection to people, that soul connection, that understanding. And some of that, I believe, in my personal opinion, may be because for many, many years, everyone just tried to fix me. And I didn't want that. And some of my closest friends now simply allow me to be. And yes, Rachel, grief is an overwhelming emotion. I agree. It was very, very, very unhealthy and very heavy weight that obviously is I continue to work through. And the beautiful thing is that yoga has helped teach me ways to sit with that grief. And really, most importantly, that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. And that it is a normal part of life, and it's not unhealthy. It's not bad. It's really truly part of the human experience. And it's a shame in our modern life that we are encouraged to suppress our emotions. That was a couple of you had brought up that as an answer of the way that you handle your stress and emotions. And I've done that for many years, and in some cases still do. And it's not okay. And because it does weigh you down. And I love that with the yoga practice, particularly the physical practice, so the practice of movement, allowed my body to move in ways and to move muscles that had for years stored up all that grief, all that emotion, all that just sadness. And I'm not just talking about the death of my grandmother, just a cumulative of 40 years, of 45 years of this stress. And so many times I would just crumble on my mat in tears, The practice was that powerful. The meditation was that powerful. The sound healing was that powerful. And I love what Rachel just said. Grief is an incredible expression of love for the one who has shared their life with you. And I am getting teary-eyed here on this side. I'm not sure it's coming through on the video, but the tears may yet still fall. But it's so true. And the interesting thing is, in the course of the last 5 or 6 years, I would say probably pretty coincidentally with this journey, although I've always been close to my grandmother, felt her spirit for years, and that of my aunt as well. I feel even more so she's here with me. I mean, all my grandparents are with me, but particularly this grandmother. And I have had sessions where she came in. She was the spirit guide ancestor who was front and forward. And I love that she's still here with me and is really cheering me on. And to Rachel's point, I believe it is that grief that has allowed me to continue to have this relationship with her in spirit. So, Rachel, I did see your other question about, thank you, Kristen, about the sound, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But your other question was meditation my way of getting connection back with the one who has passed? It was one of the ways. I've always felt very close to her when I'm in church, which in a way, when I'm silent and I'm praying, or even if I'm wrangling children, which is 80% of the time, I always feel close to my grandmother in church, and probably because we do share the faith. And she was buried, or she was buried, but we also had an Orthodox Christian funeral for her. So, and we do in our faith tradition, we really honor those who have passed. And I always think about her along with the other elders who are no longer with us that have touched my life throughout the course of my life. The people who allowed me to hear their stories. And so, yes, so meditation is part of that. Meditation is for me a very prayerful experience. And then was the second question Rachel had was yoga my way of physically wrestling with the emotions within you? Yes, absolutely. I think by practicing yoga and having a safe space to be able to sit with the emotions and just having a safe place to allow the emotions to flow with no judgment, with no need to move on to the next thing. Absolutely. I know for a fact that a lot of the reason why I've been able to start dropping the wall around my heart is because of my physical yoga practice. So yoga yoga is a great complement to all of the various healing arts that are available. Reiki, energy healings. I network with a lot of spiritual workers, and they have certain techniques that they use to clear different emotional or physical blocks. And it's incredible how yoga, and especially the physical part of yoga, because the physical part of yoga, which are the poses, when you practice the poses by directing your mind to focus on the way your body is moving, the way the movement feels in your body, and the way the breath connects all those dots, it's an incredibly powerful experience when you feel and continue to feel energy release, when you begin to feel holding and tension release from your body as you are moving through this practice. It's also an incredible opportunity to have a space to start noticing what thoughts your mind is telling you, what stories your mind is telling you. And I didn't realize how much my mind was chattering. And I had another Dharma talk several weeks ago about this, and I'll come back to it again. I never realized how much how much untruth my mind would tell me. And it wasn't until I started practicing the yogic lifestyle that those pieces started to fall into place. And it's been incredible. That's one of the big reasons why I'm doing this today, why I'm here, why I'm opening my heart to all of you, because there is just so much power. And again, all you need is a minute. And it's incredible that even with a minute, when you really pay attention to something, how your perspective can change. So I wanted to go back to Rachel's question about the sounds. So Rachel had a question: do certain sounds stimulate certain emotions? Are there sounds that trigger the brain in ways that create relaxation? Yes, to both. And I don't have a complete understanding of all the specifics. And in fact, if you'd like, I can create another Dharma talk, or bring in a guest speaker who can talk a little bit more about this as well. But yes, each of these, when you have singing bowls, just like percussion instruments like a timpani or the xylophones, but particularly the timpani, it's a big drum, and actually even the snare drums. But the timpani can be tuned to different notes, and in the singing bowl world, there are different sized bowls that are pitched at different notes. So there are and the way the singing bowls generally work is that there is the yes, resonance, Rachel, yes. So okay, focus, I got a little distracted, sorry. So each singing bowl is tuned to a specific note, and each of those notes has a frequency that mirrors the different energy centers in your body, and they're known as chakras. You have 7 of them, from your crown to your root, all along the center line of your body. Again, this this isn't a chakra class, but I was a guest speaker on the Unstressed Mama podcast, and I go through all of the different chakras. I don't talk about the singing bowls per se, but if you want to learn more about the chakras. So the theory is when you are working with a sound healing practitioner, that practitioner is likely going to choose a series of instruments that have the same frequency of the area of your body where you're feeling blockages. And basically, it's an absolutely incredible. If you've never done a sound healing, either in person or online, they are incredible. And if you need any referrals, let me know, and I can get you connected with somebody. We have at least one person in this group who is an expert in sound healings. So we definitely can tap into her knowledge. And there's different techniques, but in summary, the practitioner can, yes. So Rachel's basically has answered my own little craziness here. Frequencies do correspond to the chakras and areas of the body. Yes, both. And when if you've ever experienced, if you've been at a concert with live instruments, you may feel, when the bass instruments start playing, you might feel vibrations in your lower body. When you hear a triangle, you may feel a shiver up your spine. When you hear, the higher pitched frequencies usually are the heart and the throat and the third eye and crown chakras. You might feel some release there. You might also feel yourself tense up. I've had that happen to me, where I could be tapping or I could be listening to a sound healing for the throat, and I actually start to get anxiety, and it just takes a little bit of extra breathing to work through that. So yes, sound is an absolutely amazing way to complement and begin to release some of the blockages. And again, complements nicely with the other healing arts, a yogic lifestyle, Reiki healing, and other tapping, EFT, neuralistic reprogramming. All of that is interrelated. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about with emotion. And this talk wasn't supposed to be all about me in one way, yet it is. Your own experience is such a powerful teacher. And when you take the time to acknowledge, number one, without judgment, that all of this stuff exists, whether you start small and just start noticing when you feel anger. I was going to talk about my reaction to Empire Strikes Back, but we're running out of time, so that will have to be another time, maybe a post. So anger, what draws up the anger? And when you slow down and acknowledge that you're starting to feel that anger, you have a beautiful opportunity to study and think about the reasons why this particular scene or this particular experience or this particular story that you're reading brings up these emotions. And I just love that I have this gift, and it's given me the opportunity to dive deeper into learning more about myself, and also helps me reframe the way I interact with other people. So we are at almost 25 minutes here, and I would like to give us an opportunity to sit together and just listen to our breathing here for a moment in the collective to clear out any tension that may be permeating in our Sangha tonight. So I invite you to come to a comfortable seat. And we won't spend more than 2 minutes here. Lower your gaze or close your eyes if you'd like. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, release. Return to your natural breath as we sit here together in harmony and in unison, breathing together at each of our own natural paces, as we share our energy, our love, and our healing. Sharing a part of each and every one of us, and at the same time reconnecting to who we are inside. We'll come into a minute of silence here. Gently blinking your eyes open if you'd like, or leaving your eyes closed. Bringing your hands together at heart center if you feel so called. Deep breath in and exhale. The light and teacher in me honors and adores the light and teacher in each and every one of you. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to continuing to this conversation within the group. I do want to let you all know that I have an incredible free guide, 5 1-minute tips for stress, yoga for stress. And I will be announcing in the next couple of days the details for another pop-up yoga event. It will be a combination of a very short yoga class followed by a sangha where you will have the opportunity to ask me some questions and maybe explore some opportunities to incorporate yoga into your life and walk away with some tips and tricks. So I want to just close. Rachel had another comment here about many of us have experienced strong emotions like grief, anxiety, etc. How I process my emotions can inform those around you on how they might process too. Thank you, Rachel. And I think even just talking about emotions is important because we know how harmful it can be to bind these emotions up. Yes, very wonderful points. Thank you, Rachel. And so important. And especially in this world where we are driven to succeed, we're not given any leeway to take time for ourselves, to slow down. So even the culture we live in the work world or in our lives, we are not invited to take this opportunity, which makes this work even more important and special. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you to Kristen as well for being here live with me tonight. I really appreciate all of you, and I look forward to our next time together. Be well, and I will see you all very, very soon.